G'day, Wombat here, and in today's budget gear we're going to take a look at this lovely beauty. This of course is the SST62 by SX Guitars. This is part of the Vintage series by SX Guitars. This is, of course, the SST62. So as you can imagine, it's based on an S-type guitar from the 60s, and that's exactly what it's meant to do. So let's have a bit of a look at it, shall we? The body is older, of course, as you would expect on this type of guitar, older body. The neck itself is Canadian maple with a lovely rosewood skunk stripe up the back that they've used to put the truss rod in with. And look at the tint on that neck. That is just stunning, really vintage looking, and I just love the colour, absolutely love the colour. The tuners are the old-fashioned small button vintage style tuners. Now these are a no-name tuner, so they're obviously going to be a cheaper tuner in this kind of a price range, but they actually felt pretty good. There was very little slop at all, and they did a pretty good job of keeping it in tune, so I was pretty impressed with them. And the small buttons always just feel really kind of nice. So coming back down to the body end of the guitar, we have a vintage style tremolo which is set flat to the guitar, so there's no up pull on it. These can be a bit hit and miss, as we've remarked on before with other guitars, but this one didn't do too bad a job. It was pretty decent at keeping it in tune, as long as you didn't go too heavy-handed with, you know, big massive dive bombs and stuff. It did a pretty reasonable job. It is a vintage style tremolo, so it's meant for vintage style use. 5-way selector switch, which is what we'd expect in a guitar like this. Volume and 2 tones, which is pretty traditional. Of course, the tone knobs operate the neck and middle pickup, not the bridge pickup, which in all honesty is always the pickup on an S-type guitar that probably needs it the most. The fingerboard is rosewood with 21 jumbo frets, and as you can see on this side of the headstock, the tuners, or maybe you can't with the, I'm not sure if the camera's going to pick it up, but the tuners are the old-fashioned split tuner, which is a really nice touch on a guitar of this price range. The pickups, of course, are SX branded pickups, 3 single coils. I don't know if SX actually make them themselves or if they get them in from somewhere else, but they weren't too bad. They did a reasonable job. Plenty of hum when you increase the volume, as you would expect, or when you increase the gain, as you would expect single coils to hum. They did that, but they sounded pretty good, I've got to say. So that's about it for the specs. How did it play? Well, as regular watchers would know, I'm not much of a Strat guy. There's nothing wrong with a Strat style guitar. They play well, they sound great, they look fantastic, but for me, I always find the controls kind of get in my way and I end up turning the guitar down as I'm playing it, totally not on purpose. So when you get a Strat style of guitar right, I'm going to knock my hand on it. So that's when you know they've done it right. And I knocked this around quite a lot, so they've actually done something right there. If I struggle to play a Strat because the controls are in the way, that's where they should be on this type of a guitar. So I'm not much of a Strat person, but I've got to say, for the money, and we're not talking a lot of money, this sounded pretty good. Really sounded pretty good. So lots of little vintage touches on it, which I quite like. The mint green 3-ply pickguard is a nice touch, gives it that sort of older look to it. These small button tuners with the split posts, you know, lots of these little things. The skunk stripe, a Stratocaster is not a Stratocaster without a skunk stripe, and I wholly believe to that on a S-type guitar as well. The skunk stripe should be there. It just gives it, I don't know, an air of quality, I suppose. It doesn't affect the playing at all, but it's an air of quality. The neck, it was not particularly chunky on this guy. It was nice, but not particularly chunky as you would expect on a you know, era correct Strat. You know, 50s and 60s necks had a bit of chunk to them. This wasn't particularly chunky. It wasn't thin, don't get me wrong, it's not a shredder's neck, but it wasn't particularly chunky. So that means it's good for a modern player. You're not going to have to fight the neck or anything like that. It's going to fit nicely in your hand. It's going to feel nice in your hand, and it's going to play well. So, you know, congrats on SX Guitars for what is essentially a good feeling quality neck. Yeah, not a shredder's neck, but just nice in the hand. Really nice in the hand. The guitar itself played really nicely, was easy to play, sounded great. They've done a great job on a, you know, an S-type guitar from the 60s. They've done a great job. My favourite positions on an S-type guitar are always either the neck pickup or the neck and middle together. There's just something about those tones. Even on a Fender Stratocaster, those positions are always my favourites. They have a nice chime to them that I always look for in that kind of a tone. And I've got to say, for generic style pickups, these guys did a pretty decent job of that. It sounded pretty good. So, not much good for metal, but you wouldn't expect it to be. Did the rock stuff all right? Not bad. But it kind of lived in the blues area. You know, that lovely bit of overdrive to it and a little bit of bite when you dig in just seemed to suit this guitar to the ground. So let's talk about money, because that's what it all boils down to when you're looking at buying a new guitar. There are a lot of these sorts of guitars on the market for beginner players, and they're very hit and miss. A lot of companies just throw something together and put it in that price bracket for beginner guitar players just starting out, and they often will just let you down. This will not let you down. It is a good sounding instrument that plays well. The tuners do what they're supposed to do, which is always an issue with guitars in a price range such as this on this style of a guitar. So for me, this is a really fantastic beginner's guitar. All right. So what are we talking about money here? You know, recommended retail price on something like this is around the $200 mark. So that's not a lot of cash. Now, Variety Music, who once again provided me this instrument for us to have a look at, thank you very much, Variety, they're doing it for about $170. And that includes an SX gig bag. All right. So $170 with a gig bag thrown in, you can't really argue with that. That is a great value for money. For a guitar that plays as well as this, at such a low price point, why would you want to start on anything else? This is the real deal. It just plays so well, sounds great, and you know, you're going to be with this for a long time to come. All right, so there you are. The SST62 by SX Guitars. Lovely little instrument for not a lot of money. I'll put a link down below, so go and check it out. It is a really nice option for a beginner guitar player. All right? Okay, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click the little bell if you want to see when my next video comes out. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, rock on, guys.